What is up, everybody? Top of the afternoon to you. It's a fine day. It is Craig, Fact of Madness, with another show, Facts with Fact of Madness. I haven't done one with that particular title for a while, but it's because I've been trying a couple of different new things. But it is Wednesday. It is 1300 hours, 1 o'clock, and it is at the time that I go on live with you guys. I think I see Let's. Good to see you. He says, let me put this up. He says, only the real ignorant need artificial intelligence. Well, I don't know if ignorance is the right word, but when it comes to art, I certainly am ignorant of that. I can't draw a stick figure. I could take a couple of things and cut something out. And I mean, I guess I'm creative on some level, but um, I use it and I like using it for the things that it does for me. Sometimes, like I've described, it helps me. My wife gets tired of hearing me talk about different things, so I think I just spare her the trouble or the pain of having to hear me ramble on about something, whether she's interested in it or not. Now, sometimes, ironically, she and I get into a discussion about certain things, and we have a healthy discussion about it. And I think in the back of my mind, I might say, "Hmm, uh, I got you." uh, I might think, y- I'm just happy that we have the conversation that we have, her and I. And sometimes in the back of my mind, I think, that might be good for a show. So, and I think I got you. Let's. He says, hence the smiley. So it is, it is cool to have some, um, humor in there. So what's going on, everybody? Man, what's today? Today is the 30th. Couple of things that reminds me about the 30th being that I used to think that Halloween. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm turning 54 in November, and I think that there's like a little song or something that reminds people of how many days are in each month. I use my knuckles, so I don't know if it's gonna come off right. But starting here, I go January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. That's how I remember how many days are in the month. And for some reason, because growing up, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before, but my mother was always involved in the church. And when I say the church, you all know that I lived in Utah for quite some time. I don't mean the LDS church, I just mean a church. It happens to be that growing up, we were involved in non-denominational charismatic churches, but my mom was always heavily involved. More specifically, she dealt with like couples, young couples, and also young people's ministry. When I say young, I mean like, um, obviously old enough to be in the military, stationed in Japan, for example, but really young, maybe 25, not older than 30. Usually that would be her ministry. So we always had like tons of people around during um, Thanksgiving and Christmas. One of my favorite two holidays. Not only is it close to my birthday, but we always literally would have people over during those times and have really cool fellowship. And as kids, my sister and I, we would have younger people doing younger type things, and it would just be kind of cool. So, but also being in a Christian family, growing up in a Christian family, my mother, we did not celebrate Halloween. I mean, if we did, we were dressed up as, Joseph or Daniel in the Lion's Den or something like that. It was never like cool, ghoulish type things. I never got to do that until I became a man. So, the art of real conversation just needs to occur more with people feelings aside. I kind of agree, and I get what you're saying. How often do we not? Now, I'm having a conversation with you all out there, even though it just happens to be Let's and I right now. But occasionally, some people, come across my videos and they have a discussion with me, at least mentally, about the things that I'm talking about. And then, of course, if there's something that he says or something, and it sparks interest in my mind, then I'll talk about it. So, but it is true that we don't converse, particularly like we used to converse. Like, I remember having conversations with people. Now, we may have conversations with people now via text. And I remember when my daughter was in her teens sometime, and I don't know if I wouldn't say we were arguing, but we were feverishly discussing something that I either wanted her to do or told her to do over text. And she answered in a certain way, and I said, "You need to check your tone." And I remember her saying, "There's no tone in text, Dad." And I was like, "You know what I mean, right?" This is my oldest daughter. She has borne me now a grandson. So, but yeah, we don't talk like we used to. We don't discuss things like we used to. And by the way, I my the title I mentioned, what is it? If AI ruled the world, what would it look like? And and you'll find in a few minutes exactly why it is that I named it. I entitled it that is because I saw a post that was AI themed, or at least inspired by AI. So I kind of want to share it with you guys. But before I do that, I don't know how you guys schedule. I told you that before that um, I wanted to try to consume less content than I create. And I mean, instead of watching television while my wife is watching television, she watches things that I don't necessarily like. But we have some commonality in the things that we watch. But I'll just be looking up different things on the internet. So usually YouTube. I've started getting into Reddit, which is where I found my next subject that we're going to talk about. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean that it is what it is. So, um, what I found, I forgot exactly what I was going to say, but oh, I was talking about content. Um, in the morning times, I'm talking early mornings now. This may be a bad thing that my wife talks about. She says, "You don't. Do you ever sleep?" And I find it interesting that she says, "Do you ever sleep?" Because if she notices that I'm not asleep, it means that she's not asleep as well. And when I wake up, she's usually asleep. So I usually go to sleep around, let's say, between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. So that's a 2-hour window. I'll sleep till about 2 ish, maybe 1 o'clock, and I'll wake up. Sometimes I'll just grab my phone and I'll start looking at it. I'll go downstairs. I might, double check the doors or whatever, fix something to eat. I try not to snack at night anymore, but and then I'll stay up till for about 3 hours. So from like 2 to 4, maybe 5 o'clock, and then I'll go back to sleep. Now I used to go play golf at between 6:30 and like 7 o'clock when it was in the summertime, when it was warmer and it would be cooler during that time. Then I'd come back and it'd be like maybe 8 or 9. Sometimes I might check some stocks or whatever, and then I would prepare and ship whatever item sold, and then go to the post office, and then maybe make a video, edit something or whatever. That's kind of like how my day goes, and do it all over again. Um, but lately, I've been kind of wanting to get up and do something, but I literally have been logisticizing how it is that I go about setting up my workstation here up here in the studio, what I'm going to show, all those kind of things, just kind of getting the production of it all out. Um, but I watch Auditing Erie County. Now he is really good for about, I don't know, 2 videos, maybe at least 1 video in a day, but more likely 2. But it's really early in the morning and around the time when I get up, so I watch him. Today's one was, he walked into some assessor's office, and I forget what county it was, And there was a sign up there that said, "No, please, no photography near the counter," et cetera, et cetera. He had a conversation. I think it was fairly innocuous. I mean, he wasn't too overly mean or anything like that. And he asks the question, was I too soft on this person? And I think his approach was fairly reasonable. More specifically, when when he figured out that it said please instead of like demanding it. But in the comments, I usually do a like and I leave a comment. I saw a young lady. Now she'll tell you that she's 70 years old or 70 something years old, maybe, but she's definitely a young soulish, young soul and in spirit. And I went to her channel, saw what she was doing, and I left a comment. I told her I was a new sub and I came there from Erie County anyway. Um, but she replied back to me and said that she was like number 495. Uh, if you haven't subscribed, first of all, please give us a like, and if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. She's 495. We're almost at 500. We have a long ways to go, a little ways to go as far as watch hours go, but I'm working to make sure that that happens for you guys. So that's a me thing. I don't think that's a you thing. That's a me making content that people want to watch and for longer. So that's what I'm doing. So her name is Leslie Sylvan. I'm going to put her up on the screen. Her channel. Her channel is. Let's go to her channel here. This is her right there, Sylvan. That is her in her. I don't know how youthful she was there, but she looks fairly youthful there. And the reason why I want to share this with you guys is because I've watched, I think, 3 videos. And in those 3 videos, she has mentioned the same thing at the end of the video. And I think that what she is saying, let me take this down, bears truth to some of the things. Hey, Gail, Miss Southern Living, good to see you. Thank you. Thanks for coming. What she talks about is some of the things that I think is relevant to a lot of the First Amendment auditor type individuals and channels that um, do what they do and how they do it, their approach to what they do. Now, I am completely okay with people having their own individual styles. Now, if you watch any of my videos, hopefully you all have. Let me take this off. It's getting on my nerves. You will find that I have I don't think docile is the right uh, term, but you hear people say respectfully all the time. And sometimes immediately after they say respectfully, they may say the most disrespectful thing in the world. Not all of our auditors that we see out there are that way. I'm just saying sometimes they tone it down a little bit. And of late, we have had some people, some really good auditors, uh, be taken to jail, and I don't think it's necessarily has bearing on their demeanor. Maybe some it does. But my point is that she kind of gives some wise counsel with regards to how to approach that. So this one video that we're gonna look at is a minute and 16 seconds long. Um, and you'll just kind of get an idea of how she is. So we'll just put it on and let you listen to it.
Would you be interested in collecting 5-figure paychecks for a few hours of work, helping me in your spare time from
have a movement and cop watchers? It's critical. And pick up your cameras and record the police and public officials whenever you can. And be patient and cordial. But beware of wildings. Like wild dogs, they can go from 0 to 60 moments. Use your common sense. Better to retreat than to get locked up. We want you there to fight another day. If you do get arrested, make certain that it's for a good cause. When you do your auditing, do so as though you're doing it before a judge and jury, because they'll be looking at your tenor, at your manners, because they are human. not just jurors and judges. And we don't want to set back the clock of liberty with negative court precedents that only ends up limiting it through our best intentions. I think you all get what I'm saying. Be well, all. See you later.
All right. So let me click on to this right here. We don't want to set back the clocks of liberty, the clock of liberty. I think the way that she says it is kind of really eloquent, first of all. And she gives, excuse me, she gives some good counsel with regards to how we should go about these audits. Now, I don't know about you, but if you were to be doing something, you're addressing an individual, and there is the potential, the possibility that you may have to face a judge, and you conducted that audit or whatever you want to call it, that interaction, as though you might be before a judge. I'm certain that the way that you go about it would be far better than if you just did it nilly willy without any with any regard or all disregard to how you're treating that individual, et cetera. Now, I mean, at the end of the day, justice is justice. I get that. But I think that we should treat those people, cops, government officials, with some semblance of respect and then go from there. If you have to be a little bit more harsh, if you will, then do so, but not at the sake of not being able to go out and fight another day, which is what she's saying. So I like the way she put it, and I thought it was worth listening to. So, um, Miss Gail, thank you again for showing up. I don't know if you are interested. You can say yay or nay. No pressure, but if you'd like, I can give you a wrench. I don't know if I can do it on the fly right now, but I will certainly consider it if you say so. So, no one should ever laugh at anyone. Let's see what that says. No one should ever laugh at anyone that are having their rights violated by the police. It's reprehensible, and I agree. And well, I mean, we have a whole other side of that coin, and I've said this before. I think that our community, I say our community because I'm a part of it, despite how we all came into it. Um, there's two sides to that coin. Wrench would be nice. Okay, thank you. Good, appreciate it. Um, I think that what was I saying? Oh, I think that the sides of the coin that exist in the 1A community, we have the auditors, and then we have the auditor trolls. Now they call them frauditors, right? And I still haven't. I've yet to figure out. Honestly, I have yet to figure out exactly what delineates between an auditor and a frauditor in the eyes of the auditor troll, like fraudit troll, for example. Occasionally, I think he just has a beef with an individual because of maybe their past history or something that they've done. And all of that aside, at the end of the day, some of them are doing different things for different reasons and they have different motivations. Um, and not all of them are quote unquote frauditors. So we are all a part of the same um, community, the same issue, the same coin, different sides of that coin. And at the end of the day, it is not either of those two individuals, the auditor or the auditor troll, that is the hero in the story. It is the Constitution and the First Amendment. So inserting yourself, like I've heard some of them say before, when you go and you address your government or seek redress, and you do all these flamboyant things that brings great attention to yourself, sure, maybe you're hindering the effort. So I just think that we need to maybe step back and see how that goes. So, as I mentioned before, enough of that rant. I don't mean to be on a soapbox. I really don't. Um, oh, and so I am going to put this up now. Let's see where we go. All right. This is a post on Reddit. It happens to be on my subreddit, which is called Eyes Front 13. And apparently it does matter whether or not capitalization, etc., does matter, is case sensitive. So it is R slash capital EYES, eyes, capital front, and 13. If you know, or if you have been in the military, you recognize that when someone says eyes front, they are talking about, okay, mentioned, let's see, Gale Southern Living. I have definitely seen Broken Hearts Ministry. I don't know about Southern Living, but I will definitely check it out. I'm learning what you do on your channel right now. Thank you. Um, so about this particular thing right here, I saw this post. Oh, I was telling you what eyes front is. It's basically when somebody says eyes front, they're calling you to attention. They're telling you to pay attention to something. Usually somebody has walked in the room, you come to attention and they have your attention. They say eyes front. So that's why I named it that. So it's a conglomeration of me finding different things that interest me, whatever they may be. Sometimes political, sometimes heartwarming. Who knows what it is, but it grabs my attention. And like I mentioned before, I have been using AI to some degree to be able to kind of suss out what I think about something, how I'm going to approach saying certain things. Um, Yeah, and I do it, with different ones, not only in pictures, but sometimes in words. But this particular one says, "Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to get any AI to generate an image of a glass of wine that is full to the brim." And then this individual apparently, prompted, they call it prompt engineering, AI prompt engineering, and they say, "Beautifully lit photo of a completely filled wine glass, white wine on a floor, a few droplets on the floor." And this is what they got. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see. Hey, Stephanie Jinks, good to see you. Thank you very much for showing up. Appreciate it. Um, this is what they got. Now, I'm going to see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Can I make it bigger? I mean, I have it front and center. Jeez Louise. What if I do this? There we go. Okay. So now keep in mind, we say the optimistic view, pessimistic view, whatever. The glass is half full. This is what they said: beautifully lit photo of a completely filled wine glass, white wine on a floor, a few droplets on the floor. And they have a couple of other ones that they've done as well, I think. Wait, maybe not that one. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. It's like 5 different attempts, I guess. Now, I don't know about you, but I um I'm kind of, I want to check things out and make sure that it's legit, right? Like, you think that if you tell anybody to draw a glass with wine filled in it, whatever color it is, that they would be able to do so. Specifically, if you tried to get AI to do it. Now, I've had some experience with trying to have AI accomplish something that I want, whether I have a vision of something. Some of my thumbs down, you'll say, "Well, how did he do that? How did he do the one with the hippo?" I said, "Put a hippo in the middle and this on the side," and then I added some things, and bam, it was right there. But this one in particular, thank you for Let's for putting her channel up, and anybody else, obviously, my mods, they do well. And I see Rats to the Moon. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you. But and again, anyway, back to the glass. So this is what it was. So now what do you think that I did? And maybe what do you think that I'm going to ask you all to do? If you have the notion, I don't know if you can post them on the community, on my community tab in the comments as a whole image of what you might find, but I would encourage you to try to actually do this. And I actually did do it. So let's see some of the ones that I did. First of all, I use Leonardo.ai. They are not a sponsor of mine, but I do find them to be very, very helpful with regards to creating cool images, and you can, add text and do other things with it. So it's Leonardo.ai, and I tried to engineer or prompt engineer this, and here's what I got. So I did it a couple times first. Let me just go through a couple of the ones that I did. All right. So this was my first one. The first one I wrote. This is not me. I wanted to show what I wrote originally, but I tried to make it as simple as possible. Like I said, red wine, glass half full, just to the very top before it goes over. Something very simple like that. Thank you. John 3:16. My mother's partner, who I call coach because he coached me basketball when I was young, they are now together. Apparently, they he liked her way back when they were in like high school, but they're together now. Anyway, he has a number of different connections, and he always tells us when we go there to pick a hat, and this is one that I picked. All right, so that's one that I got. Now you can see, I don't know if this is ever a glass, but it's kind of messed up here, but it's pouring. It's definitely not half full. I did notice, look at these little striations. Oh, you can't see it. Sorry. This is what I'm talking about. So it's not filled to the brim. This is some kind of anomaly here where the glass is a little bit messed up, but and then you have these kind of striations in the wall. And this is AI that did this. Okay. Just randomly came up with this. Not randomly, I inputted a request, but again, it's pouring into it. There's some little striations on the wall, peeling not chip, but peeling paint. And for whatever reason, this glass is not full. And it's definitely not full to the brim. I don't know where these bubbles are coming from, but miss. That's what does she write? That's so cute, your mom and friends. Yes. All right, let's see. Another thing, then we have a little twist with regards to the liquid going in. Still some bubbles, some imperfections here. Not quite there. More of another attempt. You can see the little swirl going on. I guess they're getting better. And this little, I forget what they call this continuous stream, where you can cut it with a knife or whatever, or cut it with some scissors and make it do something crazy, but didn't do it. That's the first one. All right. So that was my first attempt. I was like, well, maybe I should go a little bit more elaborate. And so I did. I tried something different. Let's get out of here. This time I wrote wine glass filled to brim. You guys can see it. It's up here. Maybe you can't see it, but it says wine glass filled to brim with red wine. Large droplets of wine on a well-lit table, not flowing over completely full. Not flowing over completely full. So, and this is what it gave me. Now, I think disappointed is too strong of a word. I'm not disappointed, but I was actually expecting that I would be able to get it to do it, but apparently there's a number of people. This particular post, this post right here, apparently has become quite popular. And the name of this subreddit, let me see if I can remember what it was. It's r/chat GPT. So people have these little tasks or challenges that they try to ask AI to do. And it either can or cannot do it. Now, ironically, I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it briefly here. In my very early beginnings with with the AI, I started using it, one for my book that I'm writing, talked about that, and one for the podcast, that is Freedom Speaks podcast, which in short talks about the last lynchings that have occurred in each state by state. So far, I've done Indiana. I was born there. There's a very iconic image that comes out of Indiana, just around the corner, not too far from Anderson, Indiana, where I was born. And then in Utah, I did the last lynching that was there as well. And given the subject matter, I asked AI initially something with regards to the N word. Now, I think I got a warning, or maybe it said it initially. Um, I can't remember exactly, but it gave me a warning. And then sometime later, I was cognizant of the fact that AI did not want me to do something. And I think it's very funny. Whenever I'm talking about this, I'm always paused by the way that I'm describing talking to AI. But I asked AI for permission to be able to say this word because I knew it was going to give me a strike. It sounds so funny when I say it that way, but I was asking permission of AI to use the N word. But it was relevant to the task at hand. At any rate, they suspended me. And this was like more like 9 months ago, maybe 8 months ago. So I've been suspended from this particular AI. It was called Pi. In fact, pretty sure if I bring it up, it won't let me go in. So I started doing another one. So, okay. All right, so that's the first one. Now this one is getting a little bit weirder, like the table is kind of messed up. You can kind of see that that's wood, but this droplet here is, has some anomalies in it. You have the floating bubbles going on. Not really a good rendition. Now, then you have this wine glass looks good, and it's gelling over. This is like jelly. This is not wine, right? I mean, if you guys disagree, let me know. But that's not a good not a good rendition. This is definitely oh, shoot. You guys have not been able to see this. Hold on. Let me go back to the other two. Sorry. So this was the first one that I described with you guys not being able to see anything. Sorry about that. And then the second one. Here's the gel. Now the table, I mean, on any given day, that's probably a good one, a good table. You got the weird striations from the wood, but it still kind of looks fake. But this thing right here, now it's got the flowing over part, even though I wanted it to fill it up to the brim, and I wanted it to be able to see droplets around so you could see it had already fallen over, and this is what it got. It gave us these little gumdrop, little jelly things. All right. Then we got this little thing right here where I don't know why, cannot get it fill. I wonder if it has something to do with it knows where the borders of the glass are. And when it gets to the top, in order to make it look realistic, it can't really represent what's going on up here. I don't know. Who knows? Then we have this one right here. This is definitely not anything that looks real, not to me at least. And that's the first one. All from what I said, which was wine glass filled to brim with red wine, large droplets of wine on a well lit table, not flowing over completely full. Now, I'm going to make a request. I apologize, fact, but what program was this again? Oh, the program. Are you asking about what the title of this particular one is that you're here for right now, Rats? We're talking about. Oh, what program? I see. This is called Leonardo.ai. If Let's is still here, I don't know if I can put the link in. Let me try. I'll put the link. I'll try. There you go. I didn't know if Let's was still here. But it's Leonardo.ai. So, what I was going to ask is if any of you guys would like to try to give a description that you think would make AI do a glass full to the brim and to see if we can put it in and put it in. I can try another one. Thanks, you're welcome. All right. I'm going to try. Let's see what has worked so far. So we have red wine. I wonder if we start with red wine. let's forget the large droplets of wine on a well-lit table. How about on a stained droplets on a stained white tablecloth? Table. Okay, now we got to get to the part with how we describe a glass overflowing. So you want to put glass overflowing in there? Okay. So glass, should we say wine glass overflowing? Wine glass overflowing, but filled to the brim. That's what I got so far. All right. Should we? Yes, overflowing. Okay. So we got red wine, period. Droplets on a stained white tablecloth. Wine glass overflowing, but filled to the brim. I think the splash is problematic. So I'm going to say no splash. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think normally it's probably good to speak as correctly English wise as you possibly can. But I'm just throwing the components out there. And what I was actually going to do, I was playing around with this last night, but on this computer, it didn't allow me to get into the AI which I use now, Gemini, the text one. Um, I was gonna try to have it give me something, but I didn't do that yet. Maybe I can put it in my phone and see what happens. But all right, so let's see what it generates with red wine, droplets on a stained white tablecloth, wine glass overflowing but filled to the brim, no splash. I'm gonna put this off to the side. You guys can see it working. Generate. Blush wine and champagne flute being filled from bottle. Okay, I'm gonna put that one up next. Rats. Apparently, there's an upgradable plan. This is the free version. I just use the free version, and maybe see, I didn't think about that too. There was a long time ago where GS and I, Todd and I, were speaking some kind of experiment that we were going to have, and we were talking about how you set up the experiment, and that's one of the things in my mind is like you have to do a certain number of things the same way first, and then do the changes and do those changes incrementally. Okay, so here's the one with the and why did I mention that? Oh, because I don't know whether or not if the upgraded plan would yield a better result. I don't know if it just sucks because because we didn't pay for it, so you get what you don't pay for, so to speak. All right, so let's look at these ones individually. All right. So, very interesting how it has this round stuff all around. Okay, that's red wine. There's the stained tablecloth. So it's getting some of it, but this whole full thing, it's not computing. There's this crazy something in the air just coming, but then the same tablecloth. So some of it, some of the things it's nailing and some of the things it's not. Let's put it so you guys can see this completely. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this one. Now this is morph between the cup and the pouring thing, the carafe or whatever, and then the stem, which there's a stem here as well, but it's not getting it. It is not getting it. Okay, that's the beginning. So more like bubbles. Let's see. A glass of wine where one more drop begins to escape the glass rim. This is so cool. I'm glad you like it. All right. So, all right. So, rats was first. Maybe say all the way full. Okay. All right. So let's do. What should we do first? Let's go. Let's see. So rats initially said, "Can I copy this?" All right, I have to put it up there. So rats initially said, "Blush wine in champagne flute being filled from sorry, filled from bottle. All right, so we're gonna do that one. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna see if I can put up while it's thinking, I'm gonna see if I can put up like a notepad over here and then type in the next. Oh, why is this not moving? I need this to go a little bit. The next one, which is from Let's. So Let's said a glass of wine where one more drop begins to escape the glass rim. All right. Okay, now, so this is Rat's ones with the blush wine and champagne flute being filled from bottle. All right, let's see what we got here. Can you guys see that all right? I'll put it all up there. Sorry. All right, so now this is interesting. All right. Again, I mean, are we seeing that it's not really going more than say half full? Um, this one, I think altogether, this is probably a reasonable image. I mean, that looks at least realistic. I mean, you got some kind of plan or whatever in the background, but again, it's not getting the whole fill to the rim kind of thing. I wonder if we told it to be a top view. Another instance, and look at this. This one right here, it's not even being poured into the glass from the top, it's being poured into the side. So that's a big old fail. Once again, the side view pouring thing is what's going. The other two filling, let's see, maybe say all the way full. Okay. So we got Let's. So that was another fail. I mean, it's not us failing, right? I mean, if all of us, I bet you if we could even do this with a child. Like if I was my grandson is a little bit too young, but if I was to tell a child to do any of the things that we actually said, take your glass and fill it up until it's just overflowing and then stop. They would be able to do that, right? Yeah. All right. Gail said maybe say all the way full. Okay. So let's stick with the blush wine and champagne flute being uh all the way full. Let's try that one. Let's see what it got. I don't know how many more credits I have, but I agree with whoever said this is fun because it is kind of cool to try this and to try to get it to do it, but it's not working. I sat with shoot, what was his name? I'll tell that story some other time. All right, the other two feeling. All right, Rats closer to full. Did Rats is the one that got the closest to full? Is that what you're saying, Stephanie? All right, I think I might have to agree. Ooh, there's one. Now I almost call that a hit. And I can see right here. Can you see the second? So there's the first image, then the second image. This one, I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but it looks like it's pretty full. So let's see about this one right here. So, I mean, we got the background with it kind of stuck with the background being white. This is what? Maybe 3/4 full. Yeah. Ooh, look at that. So what is I guess AI, is this the one that we said? So now Gail has said maybe say all the way full. So maybe AI has a standard for what is quote unquote considered full for a glass of wine, right? Don't they? 'Cause I think really when you're in a restaurant, they don't fill your glass full, right? Maybe that's what it is. But this definitely is closest. We just need a little bit more. Little bit more. Alright. That one's off. That one's off. Okay. So far, I would say this one right here. Gale with the all the way full for the I don't know, that's gotta be a triple, right? Not necessarily a home run, but you damn near nailed it. Alright. Anybody else got another suggestion? Uh, I mean, that bottle's not even at the right height. Would I take the same description and ask it for AI for a song on Sono. Ask for a song about a not quite full to the brim glass that can never be full because AI can't get it right. What would be the damn words for that? Uh, yeah, this is the best one so far. So does let's see, what does Rat say? So do these become your property at the end of the day? That's a very interesting question. Um, yeah, you're right, Gail. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you nailed it. But um, I don't think I'm sure there's some TOSs, right, that this has. And at the end of the day, I don't think they claim any rights to it. Like, they can just all of a sudden grab it off of your site if you were to use it. And I'm just speculating. I don't know for certain. But we can certainly see if we can find. Let's see if we can find maybe some terms of services and conditions. You guys can see I've done quite a few different things. This one right here, um, I've been starting a series called Mad. It's my anecdotal discussions, and I'm driving because I donate plasma twice a week. And I drive. It's about 25 minutes to get there. I used to do that trip, donate plasma, and then I would go source things for the eBay. But I'm slowing down on that because we have like 3,000 items in our store, and right now we're just going through and marking things down. So if you're looking for some clothes, some different things, some trinkets, you can check out our store. It's ECW dot picked for you. ECW dot picked for you is my eBay store. But I was trying to make it give me a car with a studio in it and a mic hanging. It never quite got the mic hanging, except for maybe one. It was always floating from the bottom up. And the view I actually used, you could see kind of a steering wheel in there. And then there's other things that I've used, a number of different things. We can just load some stuff, just if I can remember what it was. But oh, and memo to self. Whenever I ask it for something that has a cop envisioned in it, not one time has it ever given me a cop that was black. I'm not upset about it. I'm just saying it's something that I noticed. I think that I have to specify any other time that if I want an officer to be of color, I mean, maybe this guy might be Mexican, one of them might be, but it's always a white cop. That's another interesting thing. I tried to get a politician that was being two faced, and this is what it gave me. So anyway, but I don't know the answer to that question. Let our rats to the moon. I can see if I can find out. I think what I was trying to do was get down to the bottom, but it keeps coming up with more of these images. I've been messing around with it for maybe about just a little bit under a month. But FAQ and help. Let's see what it says here. I think that's a very interesting question. Is a Mexican white? Rat says, "Now wait, is a Mexican white? I mean, they're not black. I don't know. I'm not saying that they're white. I'm just saying non with a lot less melanin in their skin than the first one. So yeah, they're Mexican. All right. So let's see how to manage your Leonardo account, login tokens, feature releases, help guys, how to use affiliates and creators teams. Let's see. Now you guys are not going to be able to see this, but I'm going to put and then I'm going to post or I'm going to put it in the microphone my answer or the answer. So I'm going to go to Gemini and ask the question. Gemini. Let me put me up here so you guys can see a little bit of me at least. Gemini. All right, so let's see if we can get it to go. So the question was, when, what did you say? She wanted to know whether or not the images were yours or someone else's, right? All right, so when you use oh, when you use AI to generate an image, does the image that is created, is it yours or are there other rights to it somewhere else?
The copyright status of AI generated images is a complex legal issue that is still being debated and defined. The current consensus is that AI generated images themselves cannot be copyrighted because they do not meet the requirement of human authorship. However, the human created prompts or modifications made to AI generated images may be eligible for copyright protection. Here are some key points to consider. AI generated images. These are not eligible for copyright protection as they are not considered to be the work of a human author. Human created prompts. If you create a unique and creative prompt that leads to the generation of an image, you may have some copyright protection over the prompt itself, but not the image generated from it. Modifications to AI generated images. If you make substantial modifications to an AI generated image, you may be able to claim copyright over the modified image, but not the original AI generated part. It's important to consult with a legal professional to get specific advice on your situation.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Rats? I mean, I think what it's basically saying, you might be able to copyright the prompt that generated that image, but if we typed in the same prompt multiple times, even within the same program, it's gonna try to give you a different one each time. I'm fairly certain that that's the case. I think I've discovered that to be the case. Similarly with, Let's brought up Suno or Sono, and I've used the Fact of Madness song that you guys hear, at the end. Um, that song was generated on that site. There's a guy out there. He wears a mask and he does. I don't think he's a frauded troll. He's kind of a both sides. He just kind of tries to pull things out and discovers information. I don't know, but he has a pretty cool song that I think that he made with AI. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. So let's see. I'm gonna catch up. I mean, that bottle, we already went over that one. These would be great to teach a kid about preciseness of language. I agree. I like that. I had a teacher once bring in butter and bread, and we had to tell her how to butter the bread. Yeah, that's very good. In fact, my Japanese teacher used to have us do a similar task with words that we would know in order to accomplish, like, making a phrase, describe something to him. I forgot what his name was. It wasn't Kobayashi. It was man. He wrote our book for writing Japanese too. Anyway, what else? Take the same description and we went that one. Nice winner. The winner is I would say the winner is Gail. Gail nailed it. So do these become your property? I think we answered that question. A glass of wine. A glass of wine were you unable to put even one more drop of wine into? Oh, okay. I like that one. Let's try that one. Where you are unable to. Something is wrong with my mouse. I don't know why, but all right. So, well, you guys have certainly made this exercise quite interesting because I didn't know how it was going to go. I thought about it. I really did like this post. Like when I first saw it, I was immediately attracted to the notion that people were saying they couldn't get AI to do it. And I'm like, that disobedient ass AI. I mean, why? What is keeping it from doing? Now I just thought in my mind, is it that AI has a preconceived set of rules that tells you that first of all, typically glasses that are filled with wine aren't filled to the brim. So then that leads me to say, well, what if I told it to do water? Because there's no rule per se that says you can't fill water to the brim. Is it just wine that it has a problem with? That the conundrum continuously travels. All right, we're trying to. I got to get to where I was before. I don't know how to do that. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna try with Letz's. He says a glass. Oops. Come on, dude. Give me some love. A glass of wine where you are unable to put even one more drop of wine into. Okay, let's see what it says. Well, I would say that you guys. Oh, I'm almost out of tokens. So I went through a lot. So we're just say that anymore. I might have to make some more thumbnails. I mean, it's a fascinating program. Don't get me wrong, and I'm so I have too many things up in the first place. So let me get rid of some of these. I know that I wanted to show you guys one more thing before I go, and that was fact. Gotta run. Thanks, Let's. Thanks for reading. Appreciate it. I am white with no doubt of any other color, although I am told I am related to Muhammad Ali. Oh, that's cool. I mean, Muhammad Ali is a really light-skinned black guy anyway, so somewhere in his lineage, obviously there was white people. In the town that I was born in, my mother was friends with a particular young lady. She was friends of the family, and her daughter was like my sister and I's and my like sibling. We considered ourselves sister and brothers, all of us. But they were really, really, really light skinned. Like, one of those people that literally you having understood that people passed, they call it passing, that they could pass for what being a white person. They were that light. Um, let's see. I always wondered why my phone automatically has white emojis and they can be changed. So so Stephanie, I'm going to tell you that my father, whenever I send, and I don't use emojis a whole lot when I send messages to him, but he does. My father's a pastor. He's been this for anybody who doesn't know or I haven't said already. My father is the longest tenured pastor of his church in Anderson, Indiana. And he just celebrated his 33rd pastoral anniversary. Now, when I send text to him and I send an emoji and it has the yellow skin, white skin, he always says, "You really need to change that so that you can use black emojis. I mean, you could do it from the darkest to the lightest, blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Dad, I tried it. It doesn't stay. Maybe one or two will be an emoji that's brown or black, whatever color you want to call it. But then somewhere along the line after that, it reverts back to being yellow. So I just keep it yellow." So I was going to do one more thing. Show you guys one more thing. Now, I started off by saying this conversation, one talking about how I think that we can approach and then the behavior that we can take when we deal with people in the government, whether it be cops, whether it be government agent, governmental worker, agency, etc. And the motivation of what I was saying was from the young lady who I just subscribed to. Her name is Sylvia. She gave some really kind words, really wise words. And at the end of the day, they're always watching us. We always hear people say they're watching us. But here's a reminder that they're always watching us, but they have a problem when we watch them. Now, maybe they don't necessarily have a problem when we explain to them why we're doing what we're doing. Maybe. They still may have a problem with it, but you probably can reason them to understand, okay, this is our right to do so, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, when it comes down when the rubber meets the road, as far as I'm concerned, why is it that more often than not, an officer is compelled to tell what is not close to the truth, but sometimes way far from the truth? And if that wasn't the case more times than not, we wouldn't feel the need to be able to document our experience with a cop. That's where I come from. My thing is that, or a government official, paperwork gets lost, delays happen, and then when the delay happens, you've exceeded the deadline to accomplish something, and then you're like, I already sent my paperwork in, and you have proof. We do those things to protect ourselves. So why shouldn't we do that? And it's instances like this particular video, which I'm going to show you, where I feel it's necessary to do so. And as far as I'm concerned, I will continue to record nearly every interaction I have with the government. This might be one of the reasons why. So let's see what this is. I'm gonna put this up forefront, and let's take it back. Oh, sorry.
Collides with a Goodyear cop car in the middle of moments before 38-year-old Jacob Vela collides with a Goodyear cop car in the middle of an intersection. Now, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, the agency handling this investigation into the crash, says Vela failed to yield to the police car, which had its lights and sirens on. But the video calls into question whether that is the truth. Now, this video is taken from a dash camera owned by a concerned Goodyear resident who provided it to 12 News anonymously. You can see Vela riding his motorcycle in the middle lane. He then transfers to the northbound first lane, approaching the intersection of Estrella Parkway and Fillmore Street. A Goodyear police car turns left, entering the intersection against a red light. Vela had a green light and collides with the front left side of that cop car. He falls off his bike and is trapped beneath the police car. He suffered serious injuries and would later pass away at a hospital. As that concerned citizen approaches the intersection, the emergency lights on the police car do not appear to be activated. As we just showed you, the 12 News chopper footage after the crash shows us red and blue lights on top of the front of the car and the front fenders.
Now, just going back just a little bit, where they had the high image, you see nothing but lights going on. So this officer turned his lights on after the fact, and he mentioned or tries to insert into the record that person didn't yield to his flashing lights. Now, I'm telling you, the reason why we want to record is because there are instances more often than not, and I'm talking about, history. I mean, going back way further. I mean, and this matters to, for example, my people as well. I say my people being Black people who have experienced, horrendous things, and not just Black people, but Indians, whoever it is, any individual that has to experience an officer who is supposed to uphold your rights, telling untruths so that they don't have to face the consequences of their actions. Who knows why he was going? Maybe he was doing something that he was supposed to be doing. That would be okay. But he failed to put his lights on. So now he's in the wrong. There's probably enough protections for him, given those circumstances, that he would be absolved in the first place, unless he was doing something wrong. So the notion for him to even get to the point where he says, not only am I going to turn my lights on, that's the first step. Then I'm going to make it say that I had my lights on prior to that. And then I'm going to put in my report that I was traveling in a direction going to whatever situation, whatever scene, and I had my lights on, and the person failed to yield to my lights. I mean, the lies just keep going on and on and on and on. And so that is why individual is riding around with a dash cam, and then they see what happens, and they probably thought in their mind, I don't remember seeing any lights. And they look at it and they say, let's give this to somebody. You know who they didn't give it to? They didn't give it to the cops. They gave it to the news. And you anybody can argue who news is or what news is, but at the end of the day, this crew wants to get out the fact that maybe they gave him the benefit of the doubt and said, "Oh, we'll see what this report will be." Oh, he put the report and said that he had his lights on. That's not what it shows here. I mean, it's things like this that make me say
Citizens in approach.
and then you have the son who is being interviewed, and he says something, and then we'll leave it at that. So let's see where he is. He kind of gives his 2 cents here. Sorry, I don't mean 2 cents as in it's not worth a lot. I'm just saying.
If they're telling the truth, they need to come out and show that. And I have, I've just gone off of what I've seen, and it just seems like it's lies. And if it is, it just needs to come out, because this isn't right for my family to still be confused.
Vela's family was told on scene that security cameras from a nearby gas station, this Quick Trip pictured here, captured footage of the crash. Thus far.
All right. So that is that. Well, we're just over an hour. You guys know I do my shows for an hour. I really had a good time with you guys going through the process of trying to get AI to fill a glass to the brim and not be able to do it. So, I mean, I think actually when you think about it, the notion of, even in his answer about whether or not this becomes yours or not, he talks about the prompts. It's probably going to be some type of a skill, if you will, to be able to get AI to do and say or yield the results that you want to do. So you guys have heard me say it before, but I will say it as I leave. First of all, thank you guys for showing up. If you know somebody who might enjoy this content, please share it with them. Please don't forget to give me a like, give us a like, and consider subscribing if you haven't already subscribed. And sure, you guys have been all within this comments, kind of putting your 2 cents in, so I appreciate that as well. And we are very near to an election, and I don't care who you're voting for. My show is not really a political show. All I know, and I can tell you this, is that I've already voted, but I knew that I wasn't not going to vote. So it's important, whoever your horse is, for you to put your vote in. God bless America, that whoever is in office does whatever they can to make it better, not worse. And we'll go with that. And as far as I'm concerned, whether you be on the left side or the right side, I just ask that you meet me somewhere here in the middle, because if we continuously go to the opposite extremes of our policies, politics, ideologies, we are never going to get to the place where we find a space of understanding. So with that said, like I said, God bless America. I will likely have 1 or 2 things that I'll post throughout the rest of the week, before next week. But otherwise, I will see you guys next week. Thank you very much. Yeah, very early, for sure. I thought you were gone, Let's. No. Thank you guys for getting here. Miss Gail, I will be giving you a wrench. Thank you very much. And I will set that up so that you have it. Everybody, I can't say it more or say it enough, but I really do appreciate you being here, the support. We're almost to 500. Still got a long ways to go with regards to watch time, but like I said, that's something that I got to work on. But I am getting better. So everybody take care. And I am going to go hit the golf course. So till next time, peace.
Confusion.
Don't confuse us, let me explain. The object of this game, let's all play the same. Don't question the madness, embrace the change. The superior man seeks truth, that's his aim. He who knows all the answers ain't been asked enough. Life's like a puzzle, you gotta call his bluff. Yes, fact the madness, let the truth guide us. In the arena of debate, we'll all rise up. Question the madness, oh don't you see? In this crazy world, it's the only key to find the truth, the answers we seek. So let's all rise